Okay. All right. Welcome to the first episode of World of Freedom podcast. We got special guests, the big brother and mentor to me, Mr. Renard Flowers. How you doing today?
Hey Julian, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Oh yeah, no problem. You was definitely one of the first people that I had to get up here. You know, I used to do music in the past, so the podcast is another creative thing that I was excited about getting started with. So
Wow, Julian, man, tell us a little more about that music, man. What you look like an R&B singer. Tell me.
that's funny. So yeah, in terms of the music, so coming up, I had some friends. We actually went to college together, and basically he was a rapper and I was his manager. So basically, um, doing that for a couple years together, um, I started, messing around with it, making some music too when I came here to Raleigh. So basically, yeah. So I did that for maybe 2 years. Um, I did one song with Mike Wonder's artist. You familiar with Mike Wonder?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I met him at an event out here, and we did a song together about 2 years ago. So after that, I was really into real estate at the same time. So I was starting to get into that. So I just decided to put more focus on that, and that's really where I wanted to go. So that's just a little history, in regards to that with me.
That's dope. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So tell the people that's going to be watching this, like, who is Renard Flowers? How did you get your start? And to how you got here this point today.
Okay. As of now, uh, well, my name is Renard Flowers. Things about me, how I got started. I'm a 4-year veteran of the Marine Corps. Um, following my service in the Marine Corps. I went back to school, and the moment I got out, I went to a junior college, walked on there for the basketball team, and got a scholarship by the next semester. Then after that, I went on to my next school, played Division II basketball for Newberry College in South Carolina. That's in between Columbia, South Carolina, and Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I had a buddy of mine from the military. Him and I had been together since boot camp in 2003, and he was staying in Durham, North Carolina, because him and his now wife, they had moved up from Wilmington. He met her when we were in our last duty station in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Jacksonville is right by Wilmington, and so he stayed in the area, being though his roots was from New York City and Florida, but love kept him in North Carolina. So yeah. So after I was getting ready to graduate, um, I had different opportunities available to me. Um, None of them were appealing because of my experience in the military and things like that. I
Yeah.
didn't see myself. I didn't see myself going to be I guess, and there's nothing a knock on anyone who's has a 9 to 5 or anything like that. I just didn't see it for my long term, and you know I had to keep myself uncomfortable. So I didn't allow myself to take jobs with Caterpillar. I did a I did a internship with Caterpillar my senior year, and they offered me a job, um, pretty good salary coming out,
Mhm.
doing mechanical engineering. Um, I turned that down. Um, I had I took different, interviews and things like that, Social Security Administration, turned that down. I did not want to be comfortable. So I took a job at Play It Again Sports, working as a manager at Play It Again Sports.
Yeah, I actually
Just
used to
to
work.
just
Yeah, I actually used to work right beside Play It Again Sports, over there in Raleigh, off of Paul Little News Road, over there at the
oh
UPS
yeah,
store.
okay. Yeah. So um, I took that job just because it was going to, be something just to kind of pay my rent, not get too comfortable. At the time, I was looking to get into sports programs. I wanted to do you know player development, things like that. Um, and that was just one of my passions as well. So I ended up doing that with. I ended up taking another job with O2 Fitness as a trainer. I like that. I like the business. It was kind of taking me down that path. Now, in order for me not to get off in too much of a tangent, I used to get dressed and go wait outside of um, Cameron Indoor, for for Coach K. I would go to UNC. I would go to UNC to the basketball office, and I would email those guys probably twice a week, and trying to use some of the connections that I had. And you start to realize that some of the people, the connections that you thought you had, I don't think that they're really, they might tell you that they're going to shoot a word to you for
Yeah,
you, but they might not really be doing it right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, like it's not like, if I tell you to, hey, shoot me a good word for this job, it's not like you send me, you blind copy me in that email, right?
yeah, right.
So, but yeah, so fast forward a little bit, I started my own gym. I ran my own gym called Renovate Fitness and Performance in Durham for roughly about 6 years. And right oddly enough, right before um the pandemic started in 19, um so in 2019, end of 2019. So Black Friday had just happened. I did a Black Friday special for my clients and different things like that. And I had a dispute with the landlord. And at that time, I'd already been, you know, a year and a half into the real estate business, and we had been doing pretty well.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, you came and met me at my gym, right? The first time, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we were doing pretty well there. And I just kind of, in the gym business is kind of cyclical sometimes. I mean, at least mine is. It comes and goes just like people's, goals come and go, right? So
Right.
they go buy a new truck. Now they can't pay their membership. They do this, they do that, right? So no matter how much of a, I guess, a service that I was giving, um, or how much of my time or how much of everything that I was giving, it didn't always, show bear fruit, right? So I
Basically,
could, yeah,
yeah. So it wouldn't be more so of a necessity, especially in a time of need, you know, especially
yeah,
during that
and
time.
yes, and of course also like I said, all my efforts didn't always bear fruit, right? Like I could, work with a client for, I could give them everything that I have, give them my best, excuse me, give them my best, and it wouldn't always, turn into results. And that's an energy draining kind of thing, because you're giving your all, you're giving everything, and then also you're giving your all to the business, and it doesn't give you the type of result that you need financially as well. So I had been doing real estate. We're doing well. I was holding on to this business because I didn't like, um, I kind of took it as I'm failing if I didn't, if I didn't make this work or if I didn't figure it out. I
Yeah.
invested in, business coaches, different, all types of stuff I invested in, and I'm never afraid of that. But it just didn't turn out for me. So I said, you know what, it's time to, pack this up and I'll revisit this. I'm gonna give my all to real estate right now.
Hmm.
And like I said, that was in, December at this time of 19. And boy, did the Lord just kind of looked out for me because he, obviously the pandemic happened
Yeah.
and, gyms were really hurting. Um,
Yeah.
so I kind of got out right before. So,
That's
um,
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. So, what was it about real estate? Because I know you talked about you being in the exercise type industry, the sports industry. So, what was it about real estate where you first decided, hey, I'm going to give this a shot?
I mean, I always say, I mean, obviously we're wholesalers, we're in real estate, but think about it, who are some of your buyers, right? Some of your buyers are the doctors, the engineers, all of these things. These are your buyers. So even though a person goes and gets a high paying job as a doctor, an engineer, they still run to real estate, right?
Hmm.
They
Right.
still try and buy rental properties. So I, I always knew that real estate was my thing, something that I was interested in because there's only two channels that I watch more back then is
Hmm.
ESPN and HGTV, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like,
Awesome.
that was my guilty pleasure, man, just watching, Flip or Flop all night and, just different stuff like that. You know, what beach bargain hunters. I didn't care what it was. I just like, listening and seeing, the transformations and different things like that. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what got me into it. Um, but once I mean, I can tell you a little bit about that. Um, where my wife, um, she started working for our church, which is a pretty big church. Well, our former church, here in Durham, and her boss there was, who was legal counsel for the church. He also had his real estate license. So
Hmm.
I already knew that. So I started talking to him. I said, hey, is it worth it to get a real estate license? I'm always hearing, conflicting things about get a license to not get a license. I've been to, a rich dad poor dad seminar at a hotel, and then they told you a little bit about wholesale, and then they're
Hmm.
trying to sell you a program for $50,000 and different things like that. So he told me, hey man, uh yeah, real estate agents are are good, but he's like, you might need to check this out. And he told me about a book. It was Antonio Edwards book. So I picked up Antonio Edwards book, read it.
Hmm.
Obviously, it talked a lot about wholesale. And then Antonio Edwards book led me to searching online. And then we all know how, YouTube University goes. You know, uh, One of your mentors, Jamel Gibbs, I actually ended up because of the Virginia, I guess, well, the connection between him and Antonio Edwards. I ended up, you know, getting some of his content. Um, you know, Clever Investor. I started watching all of that stuff. Just everything. And then I decided, okay, I've learned enough. It's time to take action. you
Yeah.
know,
So at
and
that moment, when you were getting ready to take action, was it a easy process for you, or because it's more so a mental hurdle, right, than anything physical?
mhm.
So how was that in terms of, okay, it's time to get out here and make it happen?
You know, when it comes to um the I guess the mental hurdle, and was it an easy process? Yes, because of I mean my personality, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, I just told you I'm the type of guy who just didn't want to be comfortable, right? And I could have taken a high paying job, like
Mhm.
I'm a risk taker, right?
Right.
So getting ready to take that risk and betting on myself wasn't wasn't too hard for me. Um, Especially after I felt that I had grasped enough of the information to do a deal. I felt that I
Yeah.
knew enough. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we can get into, how the first deal unfolded, when you're ready to discuss that as well.
Yeah, sure. Let's get into that. So, what was the process in terms of completing your first deal?
Okay. So, first thing that, all of these courses and different things tell you is to start to, tell people that you're in real estate, right?
Right.
That you're looking for real estate to purchase. So I'm in my gym. It was one of the morning sessions, and you know one of the clients, she was lagging behind a little bit, and I said, well, yeah, I gotta, something just told me to just be like, yeah, gotta go. I gotta go run to the courthouse today and go check out it, see if I can find some properties to purchase,
Right.
things like that, from the courthouse. And I kind of just laid that out there that I'm doing real. Oh, you're doing real estate? Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and she said, well, I got a friend of mine who, she has a house, and um, it seems like it's in pretty bad shape. She doesn't even live in it. Um, and so I said, well, put me in contact with her. So she got put me in contact with her, gave me the phone number, and my client had already told me that the lady is a little embarrassed about the condition of the property, the way that she let the property get the condition of it. Um, and I told my business partner now, I said, hey, Harain, um, he had a job, he had a great job. He's in like soft, something computers, right? That's what he was in, right?
Right.
And making good money. I think he was working for INE, which is, um, nice company to work for. So um, I said, meet me here after work. I got a meeting with this person. I'm gonna get her buy her property, and I was telling him how wholesaling worked, and he said, "Man, that's illegal. That's a scam." That's what he told me. So we met
Wow.
there. We met there, and the lady never showed up. Right.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was very deflating, because I felt like I had just taken action, and um it was, going to take off, right?
Right.
But also at the same time, during this time, I had also, had business coaches for the gym. So this deal just went to the wayside, and so did real estate, while the gym was in its up phase, right? Like I told you, it's very cyclical, right?
Right.
So I was in a up phase on the gym at this time. So that was a time for me, and I really wasn't focusing on trying to create another side hustle. When it
Yeah.
was in its down cycle at that point, that was when I started digging into real estate, because I'm like, man, I need something different.
Yeah.
So during the up phase, that pretty much took a whole year before I circled back. And my partner, he showed up, and he showed up at my house on a Saturday. He said, man, we're gonna start that business up that we are talking about. And I said, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it. I said, we're gonna start it back up. We're gonna start it up.
So
I said, all right.
so what changed with him? Because I know you said initially he was doubtful. He didn't believe in wholesaling. So what changed with him from that to now saying, "Hey, are we still gonna, do this business idea?"
Well, in that, even in that time of that year, I had been sharing with him, some of you know, the links, right, to certain things. If I'm watching videos or if I'm following somebody on Instagram or whatever it may be, I'm sharing it with him, right? And then, around this time, Max Maxwell had started coming on the scene, right? And he was dropping tons of content. So I'm sharing it to him. My partner is Jamaican, too. So
Yeah.
he, I guess Max resonated with him a little bit. I don't know, but he started to think like, oh well, I guess this is real. And like I said, he came to me on that Saturday. Him and his wife were just over in the area by my house, and he's like, "We're gonna do this." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let's do it." And basically, we split the money right there that day to go ahead and get the LLC. I told him everything we needed. I said we need to get the LLC.
Yeah.
We need to get a carrot. We need to get a carrot site so people can feel that we're credible. We need to get call real, so we can have a phone number. And that was pretty much it that we started off with. Carrot, you know a phone, call real for phone numbers,
Right.
and start the LLC, right? So he's just like, just tell me what that price is. Like I said, he was making money, right?
Right.
Just tell me what it is, we'll split it up. um so I said, all right, I'm gonna go to the courthouse on Monday as well. So I go to the courthouse to get pre foreclosures and probates, like I'm taught to, because that was what Maxwell was saying at the time. I went there, and the first pre foreclosure that was posted that I was ready to take a picture of was the seller who I had went to her house, that was referred to me by my client, and she never showed up. So I thought that being confirmation from God, a whole year later, that the lady who I tried to get my first contract on, who ghosted me and didn't show up to the appointment,
Yeah.
the first day that I go to um start taking action again,
Yeah.
her name is the first one there. So I don't even think I got the rest of the stuff while I was there. I
Yeah.
just think that day I just said, hey, I called her up. I said, hey, I was actually in the courthouse, and I seen that you may be, headed towards foreclosure on this property. And she was like, yeah, it's like, like next week. The foreclosure was like next Thursday, something like that,
Um.
right?
Yeah.
This is on a Monday, so this had to happen fast, right?
Right.
So um so I said, okay, hey, let's meet. I said, let's meet today. Where can we meet? Can we meet at a Panera Bread somewhere, or whatever, or Starbucks? She said, let's meet at the Panera Bread in South Point Mall. I said, okay, let's do it. Met at the Panera. Based off all the information that she gave me, I gave her an offer that was going to help her avoid that foreclosure, right?
Right.
Get the contract signed, send it to the attorney. The attorney comes back and lets me know that there's more liens against this property than just that. So now I had to, I guess, raise my purchase price up by 15,000, and I'm still not sure that I'm going to be able to sell it, right? I
Right.
just, all I know is I have a contract. I'm
Right.
calling people, I'm calling signs out, I'm just calling every, we buy houses sign, talking to people like, hey, look, man, I'm an investor in the area as well. Just want to connect with you, blah, blah, blah. And, then I also was kind of fearful that somebody was going to try and snake my deal too, because it was my first one.
Yeah.
So once I was kind of figuring out that they were wholesalers too,
Yeah.
I didn't trust them to, JV a deal, right?
Yeah.
So um so we ended up getting the contract, like I said. Then um I just said, all right, got the contract, and I just was calling, I was going around calling people, and a dumpster shows up right at the end of the road. Somebody's doing a flip on the end of the road. So I look it
Yeah.
up on Land Glide, and I see that it was a very big buyer here in Durham. Um, now he's like one of the, yeah, he's a top buyer here in the area, right?
Right.
And I searched him, called him up, and he's like, "Yeah, man, that sounds good." He's like, "Yeah, I like that. I like it. I want it." And there was another guy who I called off a sign, and he said, "I'll be there." He said, "I'll be there." Um, because by the time, like I said, by the time I got the other contract re-signed and things like that, it's Friday right now, bro. So Monday, I got the other contract signed, get the information back. I had to meet back up with her to get the new one signed, and then now I have a contract and it's Friday, right?
Right.
So now the foreclosure is next Thursday. So now
Hmm.
it's Friday. Like I said, the big buyer, he says, yeah, he likes it. He just needs to go by and see it, right?
Hmm.
And I said, well, the seller is not hasn't let me in there yet. So let me get with you. We'll probably go by there tomorrow morning, because we're gonna go Saturday. Because she told me she was gonna, leave it open for me that morning. I called this other buyer. He's like, man, I'm out of town. I gotta, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Well, this other buyer who has the flip at the end, he said, man, I looked through the windows in the back door. He's like, yes, I'll take it, you know. And he looked, yeah, he looked through the windows and everything, man, and he's just like, man, I'll take it. I'll take it. So that was the first deal. I believe we were at like $74,000 on that on the contract, and I think we tried to sell. I think we sold it to him for like 90. Well, yeah, for like 90,000. So we made like 16,000 on the first deal.
Wow.
You
That's
know,
huge.
yeah,
That's
and
huge.
yeah, so it was like, wow, this is for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, and we got that done. We helped her avoid that foreclosure. um and that was, so that was the kind of, proof in the pudding kind of moment for me. And then after that,
And it was
you
just all
couldn't,
in from there.
all in from there. Yeah, all in.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's amazing, you know. Um, yeah, so, going forward, what are your long-term goals, and not even just with real estate, your long-term goals, personally as well.
Excuse me. um Personally, and um I guess real estate related as well. I got into this business, and it seems very cliche nowadays, and so it's such a buzzword, and it's so popular right now. But and I'm glad that it is such a popular topic, especially amongst us, African Americans. And that's, creating, generational wealth. um and the reason why that's important to me, I have a 5-year-old son and, a 2-year-old daughter. And obviously my wife. We've been married 8 years, and um it's very important to me to start creating something, start creating some, something that is, sustainable, something that can carry on and go beyond me, put my kids in a better situation after I'm gone, right?
Right.
Because the moment we're born, right, like we're moving towards death, right? And as you start to get older and start to gain more wisdom, you start to realize that, it's not really about you got to make everything mean something in between there, right?
Yeah.
um and just try and gain, like, you're either going to gain enough knowledge that you can pass on to your kids. um my parents, they they tried to be, I'm pretty sure, millionaires too, right?
Yeah.
uh they were very, entrepreneurial, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of bled into me, right? So that often doesn't resonate, right? I even started a brand called 88 Mind State, right? And
Awesome.
yeah, so I really haven't been, avidly showing that a lot of um a lot of attention right now, but you can go to 88mindstate.com as well and get you a shirt though. um
Okay.
but what 88 mind state is 88% um of the millionaires, right?
Right.
um that made it, they're they were uh um self-made, right?
Right.
They didn't have a trust fund or anything to um put take them on their way to stardom, right? But yeah, that's great to be the first, right? To be the 88, you need to wake up every day and hope to be the 88 if you are the first millionaire in your family, right?
Right.
But then it's not only about being the 88, it's also about making sure that your children are a part of the 12% that inherit wealth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like, I want, like, yes, it's if you're not a millionaire and you didn't grow up a millionaire, and I want you to hustle every day to be the 88, right? Be the first self-made millionaire in your family. Um, excuse me. All right. So yes, so being the 88. Sorry about that. See,
Oh, you're good.
even as we're sitting here talking, you got kids, and that's what we're talking about, right? But
Oh yeah.
you know, e- either way, like I said, being the 88, man, that's my biggest thing, man. Becoming that 88 and making sure that I have something to pass my kids on when I'm going from here, right? So that's my goals. I want tons of rentals, tons of Airbnbs, different things like that, and just live a very free life,
That's awesome.
from real estate and my other ventures.
That's awesome. Because, I truly feel the same way. I feel like we should all be chasing freedom, and that's what my whole brand represents. And I mean, wholesaling and things like that is very nice. You can get out of it, that with the efforts that you put into it. But at the end of the day, it's all about, that long term, passive play. And, I feel like, when we go into it with that long term mindset, you know, it's not only better for us, but most importantly for our family in the long run as well.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So how would you evaluate, this economy right now and, you know, not even just the economy, but, the real estate market right now, being in this profession, how would you evaluate it at this time?
I mean, that's a good question. Um, I'm, you know, yeah, I'm not as smart as you may think I am, right? In a sense, right? And I don't pretend to be, right? Um, and I follow just enough, right? And
Yeah.
what I also know is, is if you have a skill, right? In any, if you know how to get money
Right.
in any, you know how to hustle in any kind of market, any kind of, you know, anywhere. Like if you just know how to hustle, if you know how to, you know, if you have a skill, right? You're gaining a skill by, you know, having an acquisitions company, right?
Right.
You are, you know, at the genesis of, every deal, right?
Yeah.
Um you once you learn that skill, there's nothing that can be taken, that's something that can't be taken away.
You're right.
So if the economy takes any type of dip and it goes either direction, I still feel that, you know, I still will have a skill that could help me, you know, get a rental, get anything, right? If I have to take a job, I'm only taking a job just to get capital and use that capital to then use my real estate knowledge to then get more real estate. Or so the economy to me and following up on that is sometimes, you know, sometimes it's just you need to, you know, guard your energy, right? Because it's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing
Yeah.
that you personally can do about it. So why even rack your brain about like when is the recession coming or when is this
Yeah.
coming? Just continue to hone your skills.
Yeah.
You know, continue to, you know, be what do you call it, smart with your, you know, investment decisions and things like that. And that's all you can do, right? Control the controllable.
Yeah, and I agree with what you were just saying. Like, being an entrepreneur, like once you obtain those skills, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back, to a 9 to 5, or it's just you've like awakened something inside of you, that, it teaches you how to basically go fish, basically.
Hmm.
So, that's great. So, one other thing, for the people, before we go today, what would you say, the marketing strategies for you that you feel like have been working best for you?
Um, Man, I'm a big fan and mostly of cold calling. And that at times that has not always been just by you know, by choice, right? Because
Right,
there's other tactics that are, you know, yield a higher return, but they also cost more, right?
right,
So I've, you know, I've used cold call heavily since I started the business. You know, I started out cold calling myself, me and my partner. We quickly, you know, got ourselves a virtual assistant from the Philippines. Um, and, you know, we now have what, you know, 5 virtual employees, you know, two in um, two in Jamaica and 3 in the Philippines. Um, so yeah, it's cold call is really what, you know, gives you that best bang for your buck. Is cheaper, um
yeah,
you know, and you can, you know, just grind it out hitting those phones.
yeah. Especially if you're just starting out, like you said, that's one of the cheapest methods, that and SMS, so.
SMS too, you know, I did use SMS a lot, and then, you know, I kind of got scared away from that with all of the new regulations that were coming out. And you know, I felt that, you know, being risk averse, and yeah, I didn't want to get fined and all of these different things. But
Yeah,
you got to ask yourself, man, like, what's the fine really going to be? It's going to be what, $5,000 maybe, or, you know,
I don't
$2,500. And
know. It made me
I could,
nervous though, because
but I could, but I could get a two, you know, two $15,000 deals out of this one text campaign. I'm good for whatever fine comes with it, you know?
yeah, yeah, you're right.
I am not a
Whereas,
lawyer, so please do not take this as legal advice.
But hearing the Antonio Edwards story, he was basically talking about how, this is a guy who basically preys on all, investors and wholesalers that contact him. This is in Virginia. And basically the guy was suing him. I think it was like 8,000, I believe. So yeah,
Now, now there, now, so there's a difference there that we all have to, let's educate the audience on there. You can scrub your list against litigators, known litigators.
okay,
So I do not take that risk. If there's a
okay.
known litigator, then I will scrub it against a known litigator. That means
Uh,
that somebody's taken people to court before. So,
uh, yeah, that's something new. I'm
so
just learning right
yeah,
now.
correct. Yeah, you need to scrub your list against the litigators, the litigator list. But yeah, so I would definitely not take that risk because yes, there are people who just, have a letter ready to send. So when somebody texts them
Yeah.
without having an opt-in, they just send it, hey, we can settle out of court for $5,000. They scare
Yeah,
the person often, relents and sends the money, and that person, makes a living off of that.
yeah. Basically, you're right. So
It makes you
yeah.
want to do it, right?
Oh, yeah. It makes you think twice about it, adding in another stream.
Yeah.
So, before we wrap up today, um, where can the people follow you on social media? And then also, what other plans do you have in terms of, branding and everything like that going forward?
People can follow me on IG, and it's Renard, Renardl Flowers. So Renard L Flowers. So you can find me there, and then you can find me on Facebook and Renard Flowers. Um, you know, I haven't started doing any TikTok dances or anything yet, so no, I have,
No
yeah,
gimmicks
I think
yet.
yeah, no gimmicks yet. But when it comes to the branding, when you said the branding, man, I definitely feel like I want to get out there a little more, and really brand myself a little bit, and make sure that much like our relationship, how it grew and where it came from,
Yeah,
it was just really just like me trying to take somebody who hadn't done a deal, who was trying to get out of their 9 to 5, and
yeah.
I was trying to push you. I remember, I don't know if you want to kind of go into that story and things like that, but
Oh
that
yeah,
was that's all I really want to do, in a sense, is like, because I've had certain issues with branding myself at this moment. But we all have to understand, like, when it comes, we get caught up in this: who's an influencer, how many followers does that person have, things like that. But when I tell somebody that I'm in real estate, right, and they have questions, right,
yeah,
and so at that point, I'm an influencer to that person because I know more about real estate than where they are, because they're at 0 deals and I'm at, the amount of deals that I've done, right?
right.
Um, they have zero real estate experience. They have never talked to a seller, and I have talked to thousands of sellers. So when when that happens, you have to realize that, hey, I'm not an imposter. I can help this person, who's in my circle of influence at this moment. I can help them get from where they are at least to where I am,
Yeah,
right? And even sometimes, Phil Jackson, right? He couldn't play basketball, but he could help. I mean, he was. I mean, he could play basketball, but he wasn't a great, like a great basketball player.
yeah,
But he can help. He can help, people who have the right amount of talent, the right amount of drive to get better, right? To become
yeah.
champions, to become greats. So that was one of the things, like I seen in you. um you were working, and I was like, well, he had already locked, you had already locked in a few deals, and we were trying to work them. They were a little further out. It was harder for even me to dispo it at that time, because of it, right?
Yeah.
But you kept bringing another one. You had a whole list of things, and you went and do some driving for dollars, but then you got to learn a lesson that just because you drive for dollars for 20 properties, right? That's not enough. It's a numbers
Yeah.
game. Like you thought that 20 properties was a lot of properties. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a deal from that. And you quickly understand that, it's not like that. It doesn't really go like that. But um, you stuck it out, and here you are today, full time in real estate, very proud of that. And, you know, um, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. So, just a little backstory, for everyone listening, on our relationship. So yeah, basically, I remember, how I met Renard was through some woman. She came to my job because I was working at the UPS store at the time. And somehow, I was telling her about, me looking to get into real estate. And then she was like, she was doing some wholesaling. And she was like, hey, you should check out this guy that I know. He's doing pretty well. His name is Renard Flowers. And at the time, I'm just a little younger, I'm still just hungry. So I'm like, okay, can I get his contact information? And I called you the same day. I believe it was my lunch break. I called you, never met you a day in my life, just had a conversation with you, a quick conversation. And I was eager, to schedule a time to come up there to Durham, and meet you at your office because you had the gym at that time. Um, when I just came there and you just, talked to me about those things like, hey, you're trying to get a deal, but you're only calling 20 people, right? Or at the time, I was driving for dollars heavy, because that was all I could really afford to do at the time. I didn't really have much time to cold call as well. So you're like, hey, you just need to get X amount in here, and this is going to increase your chances, And over time, my IQ for, sales and marketing and things like that have increased. So I understand, the law of numbers and averages, so yeah, so after that, I remember bringing you this what I thought was a deal. I had my first appointment. It was in Nightdale, and you were supposed to go out there with me, but you were busy at that time. And
Working the gym.
working.
My
Yeah.
my trainer, and see, that was the thing. My trainer had, you know, um, canceled on me, so now I got to run to the gym instead of handling this business. So, but go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So yeah, so anyways, I go out there with the guy and he wants, X. And I remember what you told me. You're like, okay, I need to stay around this number. So yeah, he was just adamant he wouldn't budge. So yeah, that's when I told you I was excited just to have my first appointment at that time because I had been driving all around Wake County, just driving for dollars. So that didn't work out. So, in that meantime, I was still heavy on YouTube University, just watching a lot of content. And then basically, still juggling a job and like, just trying to make ends meet, to be completely honest, So basically, I end up applying. I got another job. I left UPS. Literally, things didn't work out at that job. I got fired at that time. And basically, I was like, you know what? I said I was going to do this real estate thing. So let me go back to it. And when I go back to it, let me change my approach, because I had a lot, weighing on me at that time and having a family and things like that, or a growing family, shall I say. So yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change my approach, change, some things that I'm doing marketing wise and go back at it. And the first deal we did was basically it was in Sanford, North Carolina. Because my girlfriend at the time, that's where she's from. And she was like, hey, um, let's try this area. It was just a random, pick. So it
Hmm.
was a land. It was actually a land deal, and it had a mobile home up there, but it was a missing title to the mobile home. So basically, we called the guy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm interested in selling." So he wanted, I think it was maybe 25. We talked him down to 20. Got it under contract. And right around the same time we had actually gotten in contract, that's when I had got fired from my job like a week after. So I was
Mm,
like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Then I remember, oh yeah, we do have a contract. So that gave me hope. That helped keep my spirits alive, at that time. And then basically, yeah, um, we got it under contract, and then basically we were like, okay, so what do we do next, right? Having never done this before, and we just listed on marketplace, and then next thing you know, we just had a lot of people inboxing us. I was like, wow, you know, and we ended up finding, an end buyer, and they paid 27 for it, so we made 7 grand on that one. I was like, wow, it's the
nice.
proof of concept, and sometimes a lot
Right.
what it taught me too is just because things don't work out the first time around doesn't mean you shouldn't come back to it, pray about it, think about it, and change your approach, and who knows what might happen, you know
Hmm.
so I
Yeah.
was really at that point where I'm just like, I gotta do this. Like I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was a dream. You talked about with your family too, that entrepreneurial spirit. It was the same for me and my family. So I'm just like, you know what, I just got to do it, and just changing that approach made a huge difference. And then after that, we closed that first deal. I just kept hustling, like literally hustling, still working. I had, got my old job back, and I was just still hustling, um, and then yeah, and then eventually I just really just took a leap of faith, man, and left. And I can't say after I left my job the second time that there was still adversities that I wasn't facing, but it's like you said, it's like once you bring out a certain um, energy, once you evoke a certain skill, it's like okay, it's hard to kind of go back.
Yeah.
So by the grace of God, we're still here, and you introduced me, to, your connections as well, back to law, they're pretty great, and things like that. So I'm truly appreciative, excuse me, of people like you, um, you know, and basically, I'm just thankful just to be here, honestly. And, I've met other people along the way, because I learned it's important to invest as well, invest in
Yeah.
what you're doing. So just, steady looking to expand my network. And that's basically how we got here.
Man, you know, if everyone knew the power, if if everyone knew the power of this, this real estate, or or just knows the power of being in that I read the book by Damon John, is the power of broke, right?
Yeah.
The power of broke is basically what just led me and you to this business, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're sitting around and you're just like, man, I need to do something. What can I do? I'm thinking like, man, man, do I go back and try and get a job here? Because but at this point I've been, like, now I'm not just out of high school, I mean out of college any longer. Now I'm like, oh, you're only experienced, oh, you worked the last, why did you do that, right? So
Right.
now it's like there is no going back almost, because you've kind of burned your bridges, because you only have, at that point I only had like, retail experience. I had been working there for like 2 years,
Same.
you know and also trying to get my gym. Then I got my gym off the ground, and then, after that, okay, so now you've been a gym owner for this amount of time. How do you go back? And I'm like, oh man, do I go go work at the gas station, or at nights, or what do I do? And I'm like, no, that's not
Yeah.
happening. And I turned that down. Like, I was like, nah. And what you start to realize is, and I don't know if this is even the reason why you kind of got, let go from the job, but you start to realize, man, it's like you start focusing on that, like you watching YouTube videos while you're supposed to be working, you know. I'm you I quickly, and that was the thing why I had to go ahead and shut down the gym, is because, man, I started, like I said, I put so much into it, and I would be burning it, burning the candle on both ends, like they say. And I just realized, man, I don't got enough energy to give both, you know,
Right.
and I do not want to shortchange anybody, who has paid me for a service, so I'm still gonna give my all here, but this is not paying me what I needed to pay me. So
Yeah.
let me go where, let me go where my, where my efforts are, multiplied times 10. I would be inside of a session and I miss a call, and man, I'm just thinking, boy, that could be a $10,000 call, because
Yeah.
I'm sending RVMs out at that time, ringless voicemails. If everybody doesn't know, I'm sending RVMs out and I'm getting calls back, and I'm just like, man, you know,
Yeah.
I go tell some, yeah, yeah, 10 reps right there, and then I try and run and call and say, hey, look, I'm blah blah blah, and I would let them know. I said, hey, I'm also a gym owner, as well. I own a gym, and I look into, buying real estate for myself on the side here. Do you mind if I give you a call back after that? And so that kind of, I felt that helped me in a sense, where they're like, oh, you own a gym as
Yeah.
well, okay, where they felt that they were already dealing with a business owner, and small business owner at that. I wasn't a big guy, like, one of the some of the big investors that were coming around. But yeah.
Yeah. But that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, yeah, Renard, again, I appreciate you, being a guest up here today. Your story is definitely very impactful, you know, and yeah, to anybody listening to this, it's just all about, shifting your mindset. At the end of the day, we're the only people that's stopping ourselves, So yeah, y'all be on the lookout.
and,
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
if you don't mind, I know you can close out a little bit after, because I mean, we were you and I have been talking recently about collaboration and different things like that. If
Yeah.
anybody out here is listening, right, and you need to connect, and just like I just said, where Julian is right now is in a different position than you are, right?
Mhm.
I'm in a different position than Julian. There's people who who are my mentors, who are in different position, right?
Mhm.
Reach out and don't think that it's competition. If
Mhm.
I would have reached out to those first, yes, I did get it done by myself. But what would that would have cost me if I was unable to get that first deal done because I did not want to JV with somebody who was telling me, "Oh yeah, it's you can get this a deal." What would have cost me, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been $16,000 richer, and also I probably could have been deflated by the loss of that deal again, and who knows where that would have set me off into, right?
Yeah.
But you know collaborate, let's collaborate, let's find ways that we can all help each other get bigger and better, because now Julian is in a place from a few conversations that didn't cost him $1, you know and also what Julian would, the moment Julian is a notary, I said, hey, Julian, can you notarize these things? Can he notarize the papers for my house, and different
Yeah.
things like that is
Yeah.
so it's like you can use people for several different reasons, and you connect and you add them to your network, and you keep them top of mind. So always be open to connecting with people on that level and collaborating, and that's what I'm happiest with right now, is that you and I connected, and it was a peer, a mentor to kind of level, and now you're
Yeah.
becoming a peer,
Yeah.
because you're in the game full time. Being a peer does not mean that you can't still not not bounce things off of each other and learn from each other at that time, you know.
Most
So
definitely,
that's
most
how I feel.
definitely.
So
And we're definitely gonna collaborate and do the things that we talked about as well. On the phone yesterday. Um, so yeah, if you're listening, exactly what he's saying. It's about collaboration over competition. Because the only way we all gonna rise is if we work together. Um, and a lot of the free game information that you shared, with me and up here as well, um, I'm definitely looking to give that back as well, because your true blessings truly do come from giving, you know. Um, so yeah, anybody listening, that's a universal principle right there, you know. So
right.
yeah, I want this to be something as well where people can log in. It doesn't matter who listening, even if it's two or three or five people, where you can feel like you can take some information from this and really apply it, to your life, you know. So again, um, yeah, appreciate that.
All right, Julian, once again, man, thanks for having me, man. And I love to come back again, and we can break down and get a little deeper into it, man. But thank you for having me, man, and much I guess blessings and luck and prayers are going with you so for the success of your podcast as it's launching going forward, okay?
Oh yeah, appreciate that, man. We definitely got to link up too, man. We gotta
Oh
link
yeah.
up in person too. I know
I
you.
think we'll go to that event, man. Like as soon as you send me
Oh,
that
you
link,
are
man, we'll go to that event with in Charlotte. I'm
cool,
down.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, and they coming to Raleigh too, in a couple months as well. So that's dope. So yeah,
All right.
again, appreciate your time, and you have a blessed evening.
All right, man. You too.